Voting is important in this country in particular because the majority citizens at some stage in our history were not given this franchise. It is therefore important that as political leaders and parties, we encourage people to go out and vote on the day of voting. This is a choice they are being given to choose a government of their choice, which would espouse what they wish to have in their lifetime. So voting, therefore, is crucial, especially for South Africa, who is renowned to be having one of the progressive constitutions in the world. We dare not to fail the rest of the continent and the world over. The youth of today is duty-bound to participate in elections next year, given the fact that the elderly people have been accused of neglecting the youth of this country in the past. We hope, therefore, that the youth will participate in voting and thereby sending a strong signal that we would like to vote for the people who will shape our future or lay a strong foundation for our future. And I hope that the youth of today will be able to sift amongst the political parties we have, which parties do indeed stand for the ethics of good governance, which would make sure that you save the resources and monies for the future generations to come. The youth of South Africa came at the right time. Let me put it this way. The change of government in 1994 has actually given the youth of South Africa an opportunity to participate in various sectors of our society, especially in building our economy. The change in South Africa came at a time when there was a new revolution on technology. And if you look at it, those who have been taught during this period, people who can use computers, who can use iPads, cell phones, and so on, it's a great opportunity for them to make sure that they grasp the IT-related programs, which at times create more jobs for the people. Today, if you cannot operate a computer, you are doomed. You are not going to get a decent job. So I think the youth of South Africa has got an opportunity to take the country forward, and having been equipped educationally with all the revolutions which are taking place in the IT areas. The most inspiring event for me was when we welcomed the release of political prisoners in 1990. And from that moment onwards, we were optimistic that at last there is hope that we will solve our problems peacefully in this country. I would say the education background I received at the College of Sons of Chiefs and Headmen, called Jonglizo College in Tsolo, shaped me to face the reality and the world. And the fact that also I was privileged to have been a soldier, where you know that discipline is the hallmark of the career in that field, has helped me to to be strong and be in a position to analyze situation as they come, different situations as they come or emerge. But the critical area where I think one should thank himself is during the time we took over the Transkei government as soldiers with a view to stop the corruption, and I think we did a wonderful job there, and immediately facilitate the return of Transkei back to a new South Africa without spilling blood as opposed to other homelands which were burning properties and resisting change. And I think I can personally say I'm satisfied with the role I played during the transition. Nditsho ndithi ngokubona kwam indlela endidlalileyo ndincedwe kuba ndafunda kwisikolo soonyana benkosi apho sasifundiswa khona ukuanalyze imicimbi njengeenkokheli zakusasa. Ndaphinda ke ndawungena nasebusotsheni ke apho ke idiscipline iBhayibhile yapha. Yandinceda ke nale into yobona uba tyeni abantu aba xa bemoshayo akufunanga bacengwe besitya imali zabantu kakubi. Sabasusa ke phaa eTranskei njengoba nisazi kwangena urhulumente wamajoni. And yanceda loo nto leyo uba sakhawulezisa safacilitator i-transition esmooth ukusuka eTranskei ujoyina iSouth Africa ekhululekileyo kungakhange kuchitheke gazi. Unlike kwinto esasizibona kwezinye homelands abantu bebulawa butshiswa properties. The United Democratic Movement has been campaigning for the need to realign the politics of this country. We started this process in 1999 when we met with the leaders of IFP, DP, National Party. We reasoned with them that there is a need to start realigning the politics, but typical of narrow thinking by some, Martinus van Schalkwyk and Tony Leon opted to merge the two parties, that is the National Party and the DP. Hence you have today a party called DA. But we kept on saying we need to do more. And as a result of our conference positions, we again early this year made a call that we need to create an umbrella where the parties can establish a coalition, still keeping their identity, but register this umbrella and we contest the elections of next year. Parties have been discussing our document, and I can also report back that as a result of that, Ahang, COPE and UDM met in May this year, and we are due to meet again mid-July after consulting with our structures to find out what kind of a vehicle would drive this coalition before the elections of 2014, or whether we should go to the elections as individual and then thinking of forming coalition after. But the three parties are of the opinion that the coalition should be established before the election. So we are still too early to come up with a definite answer because we will be comparing different models. Kulo mcimbi wokuxoxa nezinye political parties sake sayiqalisa lento siyi-UDM kwaphaa ngo-99. Nawukhumbula uba i-meeting ezasinayo phakathi kwa-AFP, UDM, i-National Party ne-DP ngoko zange i-DSK iqhube ize nazo results ezinhle kuba uDA, uDP no-National Party bahamba bazivalela uze kubekho lento okuthiwa i-DA. Sabona ayikabi yiyo lento siyifunayo. Sathi ke ayi sazikhupha ecaleni kodwa ke ngoku sike saphinda sayivuselela le ngxoxo. Iyarhanga neCope ne-UDM zike zaxoxa apha kuMeyi, izawuphinda zidibana apha kuJulayi emva kwe-court case kaCope sibone ukuthi mhlambe singaqhuba njani uya phambili. What is important in this agenda of realigning the politics of South Africa? One has to look at the composition of the benches inside Parliament. If you are there, you look on the other side where the ANC sits, you can see that this is a pure and a perfect image of a would be a non-racialism parliament in Parliament. Non-racialism party in Parliament. But if you look across in the opposition benches, we seem to be packaged or sitting according to interest groups, whites, so Zulus, Xhosas, and Indians, and so on. But on the side of the ANC, they are mixed. So we need, therefore, to transform the opposition benches. But it's not an easy thing because we've got different philosophies and different ideologies. But what has helped us or is creating hope for everybody is that all of us, we seem to be speaking the same language. We need to address the problems of education, unemployment, narrow the gaps between the haves and have-nots, good health systems. Let's fight poverty, high levels of poverty. You don't see that much difference. The difference would be on the how side of it. And I'm looking forward that come mid-July, Ahang, Cope, and UDM would come up with some concrete suggestions on a way forward. Yes, other parties were consulted. DA, for instance, simply arrogantly told us that anyone who wants that a coalition, people must take a dual membership for the DA. Then we found that, no, this is too arrogant on their part. And we are not even thinking of involving them unless they change their attitude. The other parties are still thinking that they would